and you look at where the gold price was and where the silver price was. And if you look at, I have reasons that I believe the price of gold had been underperforming.
To make sure that they make the right step at the right time in investing, to look at a very short-term horizon, a few weeks or a month or something, to decide, gee, did I do the right thing, or are things going the wrong way? And as you mentioned, if they take advantage of a value opportunity that's presenting itself right now, and perhaps the markets cave even farther in the next quarter or so, or 2 quarters, and rather than kicking themselves, people who really understand with a real eye to intrinsic value, like Rick Rule, say they just get more excited when they already own something that was they deemed to be a good value when they purchased it, and that goes further on sale. They just get excited and try to see what they can do to acquire more of that, because it's even a more compelling value proposition. The flip side risk is if people try to wait and time till they say this must be the ultimate, to do that bottom picking, it can be very frustrating and difficult. I know David Morgan, among others, who's known as a silver guru that we have on our channel as a guest, often says that that's a fool's errand, is to try to do bottom picking and top picking rather than to find value where it can be found and take advantage of mispricing where it's evident. And it sounds like that's what you're saying. This is the moment that we are being presented with that kind of an opportunity at this time.
And what I want to add to that is, if you go back 20 years, okay, if you go back to the end of the 1990s, and you look at where the gold price was and where the silver price was, and if you look at, I have reasons that I believe the price of gold had been underperforming. One of the major reasons, in my opinion, was you had central banks were sellers of gold. Okay, they were net sellers of metal. And one of the reasons that attracted me to gold as an investment in the early 2000s was this belief that as central banks went from net buyers, from being net sellers, that was going to be very bullish for the price of gold. So I had one element that made me want to get long precious metals. Now, there's a second element, which when the price was low, there was underinvestment in the sector from mine supply. So companies were not putting money into development or exploration. So that further exacerbates the whole fundamentals for gold price moving higher. Now, what we've seen since is we've seen things like quantitative easing. We've seen this massive expansion of the monetary base. So these are all further elements to support this rise of the metal prices, and why, and now if we go through some of the policies that have come through, and it's not just in the United States or in Canada, it's global. Every central bank is doing it. And so I just think that I have so much more conviction, and working with mining companies, working in the industry, working with developers, producers, explorers. The one common theme that I've seen is a decrease in average grade. Okay, so we're having to go further and further and deeper, and we're getting lower grade projects with higher capital expenditures to get this stuff out of the ground. There is less of an appetite from a lot of the world for this stuff to be mined. So the not in my backyard mentality and so it is, essentially now as a miner, as an explorer, as a developer, I've got to focus my efforts now into brownfields opportunities, mature camps, where the community, because there's been 100 years of history of mining. So it's my point to you, Dunnigan, is it's the perfect storm. This is the time. And like I said, for those who've gotten to know me for the last 18 years that I've been in this industry, I've never I've never made these types of claims. I've said, listen, I've been very, very, very conservative, but, and I say this when there's a strong likelihood we are going to see lower prices. You know, I'm not saying this is the bottom, but you're never going to time the low. And this is as good as an opportunity as I see. And so this is a moment where I'm all in.
And, you know, one of the things you mentioned was grade. Grade has been a challenge. And in the face of rising energy costs, rising parts costs, rising repair costs, rising labor costs, as Rick will say, rising jurisdictional costs, if it's from taxation and everything else, in the face of all those rising costs, if you've got the average grade that most producers are digging out of the ground has been dropping and dropping over a period of time due to not investing in exploration and development, that sort of thing, for whatever reasons, or just Dolly Varden, your company, is a standout in that because it has a different story and a different focus. It does not focus on low grade, but on high grade. So could you make clear to everyone, including myself, the distinction why Dolly Varden stands out because of their focus on high grade and high potential prospects?
So the first thing I want to say is, for anybody who's new to Dolly Varden has a really rich history. And I took over the company about 2.5 years ago. And since taking over, we've seen the value of our share price. We're up about 80% at a time where our peers are flat. Okay. And in the last 12 months, we've outperformed our peers. And this is, when I talk about our peers, I'm talking best in class companies. We're outperforming our peers by about 20%. I've taken all the knowledge I've gained over the last 18 years, and I've put it into this opportunity. I was deliberate in finding an opportunity in a safe mining jurisdiction with a high-grade deposit that's got room for expansion. And so I believe in the mining industry, grade is king. So we're going to have one of the lower cost projects moving forward. And at the end of the day, the larger mining companies, they're depleting mineral inventory every day. So what we're hoping to achieve is we want to be the pipeline development project for the major to advance. And we're doing it in a safe, well-established mining jurisdiction. We've got a large project. We've got some tremendous backers. So Hecla Mining, Eric Sprott, and other large institutions are some of our shareholders that have come in and validated what we're doing. And listen, we're having success. We just announced a few weeks ago that we stepped away from our known resources and we made a very substantial discovery. So we hit 50 meters of over 400 grams of silver. This is a tremendous discovery. It's going to add to our mineral inventory. And I just announced the other day that we're getting more aggressive. You know, a lot of companies are cutting back. A lot of companies are decreasing their programs. We're seeing such encouraging results that we've added a 4th drill rig to site, and I'm expecting more results imminently. And we've been very encouraged with what we're seeing visually, and also the results that we've reported. So I think, this is just done again twice in my 20-year career. I've had the good fortune through hard work to be on a project that had momentum, and this is just one of those times where things are working. And even when we have adversity, we're finding ways through it. And we've been delivering great results. And I really believe that this is a project that will be advanced, maybe not by Dolly Varden, but I think our shareholders are going to benefit from what the company is doing today.